let me ask you this. Like with everything that you're seeing, like you've been at some incredible companies, you've done some incredible work, you've been on the forefront of like technology. What do you see happening with like AI?
Well, and that's another thing where part of me looks at it and part of me doesn't look at it. But a lot of my window into AI right now is through the tools. So thinking about, I know in my world, like how I go about the projects, what's helpful, what I do by hands, what I'm, what I could do in a spreadsheet, what I would love to have a spreadsheet formula for. And I'm finding that a lot of these AI tools, one, I'm able to use them to understand, oh, how do I write the app scripts? And finding that I don't need to do a whole bunch of, coding sessions in Python in order to just figure out something that really there's a way to do it in a spreadsheet, or there's a way to do it in app script, or there's a way to do it like with APIs. And a lot of like my coding experience is focused on APIs and just kind of figuring out, and that part of it, or this whole part of it, is reminding me a lot of what creatives deal with when it comes to how they're using their tools. And in the creative worlds, there's always a conflict between the artists and their tools, like how good is a tool? And so the big excuse is, oh, I can't do this because my tools suck. And then you have the artist who comes on and then they have those split screens where one of them, they're having, $300 colored pencils, and the other one is like $5 ingredients, and they're using like, ketchup, and some people like the $3 one, so there's all these dynamics. And I feel that with business, especially coming off of Gartner, which is the last one they came off of, a lot of it, when it comes down to it, after you do the calculations and after you do stuff, it's like the judgment of how are you going to make your decisions? How are you all going to agree on something? How are you going to move forward? And that's like one layer that I think AI can help with. So I'm looking at that, like scoring systems and, to kind of help that along. But for me, the big opportunity, and I don't know, how much work this is being done, but I bet that writers are probably doing it, is ultimately encoding my own experience, like my own observational experience of the inner dynamics, outer dynamics, the conversations with the clients, the, being deep in the data, the testing the different ideas, the explaining the ideas and all that kind of stuff, encoding that into formats, because now we know all of these different language formats, just like you could translate something from English to French or French to Germany or whatever. Why can't you do the same? In my mind, I'm thinking, well, why can't you do basically a translation job? And I think I could, once I'm past the other stuff, my new area of work, I think you could probably build systems that essentially act as like translators and readers. So you could code them and say, okay, I want you to read this scenario this specific way. And then the output isn't just like the black box of what, a company that's managing like thousands and millions of data points and trying to figure out a consensus is. You're only dealing with what's relevant to you, your market, your history, your people's dynamics. You could do that kind of thing. So I don't know if there's anything there, but I bet that writers probably see that because writing is just encoding. You're encoding your experience into a format, and now we have computers which could read it out at scale, and you could actually build those computers and stuff.